Is astrology a guide to aid us in mastering the universe? This is the Cosmic Community Podcast with Galactic Ambassador Stacey Dredd. This astrology report is for the week of June 3rd, and we have some bigger changes on the docket this week. This whole last couple weeks has been about big changes and more to come. It's really been led by Saturn moving into Aries last week and Neptune moving into Aries earlier, a month or two ago. And so now we have this week Venus moving into Taurus. We have Mercury moving to Cancer, and Jupiter, long awaited leave from the sign of Gemini into Cancer. So we'll be chatting about all of these changes and more throughout this program. And we start the week on June 3rd with the moon in Virgo. And as we speak here with this program live, the moon is actually on the south node in Virgo. And so this is places that we want to be walking away from. The south node, wherever the south node is, represents areas of our life that we're leaving behind. And the south node travels through a sign. It takes 18 months for the south node to travel through a sign. And we are still in the beginning third of the south node's passage through Virgo. And Virgo is a sign that is an earth sign. So it's a very grounded energy. Virgo is an organizer, a planner, but also the detoxer, and is going to be an area where we find perfectionism and we want to make ourselves whole again, become the virgin once again that Virgo represents. And the moon passing over the south node today is the moon shows us the mood of the day. So the mood is in Virgo about this planning and these to-do lists, and about detoxing and cleaning things up and creating a fresh vibe again. Virgo is going to be very grounded about this and take the necessary steps in order to do that. So this could be a great day where we feel into the steps that are necessary to walk away from certain things in our life. And the South Node in Virgo is very well supported, in my opinion. This South Node, all about things that we want to detox out of our life, and Virgo, the sign of the great detox. So very, very well supported energy here, but can be tough because let's face it, goodbyes are not ever easy for some. Sometimes it's easy to let go, but sometimes it's not. And so this is the energy that we enter this week with. And then the moon moves into Libra on June 4th. So on Wednesday of this week, we get a shift of that energy, a shift of the vibe, a shift of what we are feeling, what the mood is for the next couple of days. And Libra is about balance and harmony and relationships, and is a very different energy from Virgo. But Virgo is the energy that we need to master to move in to Libra. So once that great detox takes place in Virgo, we have the opportunity to be more balanced and more harmonized in Libra. So Wednesday, Thursday, while the moon is moving through Libra this week, very much about relationships and bringing things to balance. It's also the sign of your courtrooms and of judging and judges and diplomacy clarity and weighing out the facts and fairness and this kind of thing too. So that can come into view. But also on June 4th, we have Venus making a sextile with Jupiter. And Venus and Jupiter are the great benevolence of the solar system. Venus and Jupiter both considered to be the most sort of positive energies. They are the most, they bring in the good things. So Venus is the planet of our heart, things that we love and sensuality and relationships and of the pleasurable things, music and art and comfy chairs and, great poetry and things like that. And then Jupiter is the planet of good luck and of wisdom and of the ultimate of all things, really. Jupiter is the god of the gods. So it doesn't get any better than that. And so these energies coming together, these planetary energies in a sextile. A sextile is a smooth, flowing, easy aspect. And so Wednesday this week is like the day of good luck. This could be the day that you go out and buy your lottery ticket or whatever. Take a chance on something is what I'm saying, because taking a risk when we have such good energies lined up usually, ends up good. So moon in Libra, also a sign that supports Venus in this sextile also. But, one thing about the Venus-Jupiter sextile here on Wednesday is that it's at a critical degree. It's at 29 degrees of these signs, and Jupiter and Venus are both going to be entering new signs after they make this sextile together. So it's kind of like a fun little farewell for them. One last hurrah, one last gift, because Jupiter is all about gifts and Venus is a giver too. So it's almost like we receive some really nice gifts on Wednesday that help us to sort of close out Jupiter's run in Gemini and Venus's run in Aries, two very masculine signs. And now they're going to be shifting. Venus moves into an earth sign of Taurus on June 5th, the next day. And this is going to change the feminine energy a whole lot, because Venus is not her best in Aries. She is under the rulership of her cosmic lover there, and it's a very masculine sign for her to be in. And not that that's a bad thing. It's just a challenging place for her when she moves into Taurus on June 5th, Thursday of this week. She is in her home sign, and she becomes very comfortable there, and she kind of rules the house when she gets there. So that's going to definitely shift up the vibe in our heart. And also this is money flow too. And money is represented by Venus. Venus has been in Aries. Aries is, well, not always super thoughtful about what it does and maybe how it spends its money. So if you've been moving through the energy of Venus and Aries and kind of spending money on things and really making a lot of purchases kind of at the last second, that is going to close up shop. When Venus moves into Taurus, it's all about saving and tightening that up and spending a lot slower. Aries is a quick spender. Taurus is going to wait as long as possible to spend money on stuff and take its time thinking about that. So that could be good for finances coming up. This is also for heart matters. So if we've been quick with the heart over the last, Venus has been in Aries and went back and did a retrograded Pisces and moved back to Aries. We've actually had Venus in Aries for a long time. So we've been quick with the heart, and now it's time to close up there and become a little more thoughtful and a little slower moving with matters of the heart once Venus is in Taurus also. And on June 5th, it's a busy day, actually, because we have another sextile, a smooth, easy-flowing aspect between Mercury and Mars this day. And so Mercury is our mind, Mars is our physical body, and like we just mentioned, rules Aries. Mars rules Aries and is a quick mover. It wants to get things done and take action. Mercury is moving really fast right now, too. And so these are two very quick moving energies. We can make fast decisions and things could happen very quickly. We think of an idea and our physical body just runs with it on Thursday, June 5th. So this is really nice if we have been wanting to take action on things that we've been thinking about. June 5th is the day to do that. And it's going to be fateful because Mercury is in a T-square with the nodes of fate that very same day. And what I mean by the fatefulness of the nodes of destiny is that these are cosmic course correctors. And Mercury, a quick moving energy right now, Mercury did that same retrograde with Venus at the beginning, through the beginning degrees of Aries back to Pisces and through Aries again. Well, Mercury just zipped way forward and is now at the final degrees of Gemini here. And Gemini is the sign that it rules. So it's a quick moving mind. We are just coming through a lot of ideas and a lot of communications and a lot of just mental chatter. And this is going to continue as Mercury moves through the final degrees of Gemini and just zips along through Cancer. But on June 5th, this information, this data, these thoughts that we're having, these ideas, they're very, very fateful, and they shift the course for the future. So a very fateful day on June 5th. That's the same day, as I said, that Venus is going to be moving into Taurus and shifting the energies there. And then on Friday, June 6th, this is a very, very busy day. The moon makes like 8 to 10 aspects on this day. And so that just means it is going to be very busy. There's going to be a lot of different parts to the day, lots of different phases. And this same Mercury, quick moving mind, making a lot of decisions, making a lot of thoughts on everything in a sextile to Chiron on this day. And that is the wounded healer. And so we could be having a healing on this day. And with all of the planetary action the day before, it could feel like a little bit of even a necessary healing that needs to take place, an understanding of the mind, of the mental space that comes in on this very busy day. The moon moves into Scorpio on Friday, and that changes the mood once again. Scorpio is a more deep energy. This is where we go when we want to dive into a darker space. This is where we actually go into a more personal mode. Scorpio is about all of the things that are quiet and dark, and a lot of times it's the places that are a little scarier. Things come up during Scorpio because it rules those dark areas. Even death, is ruled by Scorpio. So it's a heavier energy, but it is a transformative place. It's where we go to have a death so that we can have a beautiful rebirth later on. So that moon in Scorpio makes things a little more internal and a little more deep, brings depth into the evening on Friday the 6th. And on June 8th, this is Sunday of this week, see, Mercury is just moving so fast and making tons of aspects. And this is the day on Sunday that Mercury catches up with Jupiter. Jupiter is at that final degree of Gemini and is going to be moving into Cancer the very next day. Mercury comes along and says, "Hey, Jupiter, what last gifts do you have for me before you leave the sign of Gemini? We're very strong here. Let's expand this. Let's go big with it." And Jupiter brings in some really beautiful wisdom for Mercury. Mercury is thoughts and the mind, but not necessarily the wise one. Jupiter's the wise one that has the knowledge of the ages. And so Mercury, the mind, gets one last blessing before it moves into the sign of Cancer. On that day from Jupiter, we could get some of the biggest communications of the week, though, of the past couple of weeks of Gemini season on this day on June 8th because of this expansive energy of Jupiter. But no matter what, Jupiter leaves a gift, so we will be gifted something that will be necessary for the journey forward. And then Mercury moves into Cancer that day. Our mental state is going to change dramatically once it moves out of Gemini into Cancer. Cancer is a more closed up energy. This is a more internal energy, like Scorpio. It's a water sign, and watery energies are all about our emotions and are about our internal state and are about watery things. Crying is a big thing during water signs. So we could, just be feeling the need to cleanse through crying or through bathing. The moon is still in Scorpio once Mercury moves into Cancer. And so we could be feeling just that need for water. We could just be feeling dry, like we just need to have more water in our bodies to keep our mind working. And Cancer is also an energy that's about the mother and about the womb and about those internal places that we go that make us feel safe and secure and at home in that beautiful motherly womb home place that we go to, kind of like this studio that I sit in when I do this astrology report. I also call it the womb room because it just feels like one of these cozy little environments that you go to where you can just be yourself and feel nice and secure. And this energy, it comes in even harder this week because on Monday, that's the day that Jupiter, the biggest planet in our solar system, carrying a large amount of energy with it, moving out of Gemini into Cancer. So a lot of the the air of Gemini, that is an air sign, that's been drying us out. We move to the water, we move to the wet places and we wet our whistle and we go to those secure places. Gemini is a lot of information. Gemini is all mental. Okay. And so it's nice to land in Cancer so that we can think, so that we can have some quiet time, so that we can sift through all of the data in a nice, secure way. On this day, Monday, it's another really busy lunar day, and there's another 8 lunar aspects this day, and there are 3 squares also on June 9th. And so Mercury squaring Saturn, as it enters Cancer, it's going to make that square to Saturn. Saturn just moved into Aries. So there could be a little bit of a reality check. That's what Saturn brings, a reality check on Monday morning. Venus is in a square to Pluto that day. Venus, we already chatted about the planet of pleasures. Well, Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth, and a square is a challenging aspect. So we could go through some type of death and rebirth in terms of our heart space on this same day. And then Mercury squares Neptune also, because Neptune is at 2 degrees of Aries, sitting next to Saturn. And those two are basically in a planetary conjunction, Saturn and Neptune also, with those energies blending. And Saturn is about rules and boundaries and structure. And so there could come an element of bringing all of that on Monday. And this is the energy of Jupiter moving into Cancer. This is going to definitely shift things too. So it's going to be an interesting, like the start to this week to the end of this week is an interesting shift. We move out of a lot of the masculine energies in Gemini, and with Venus moving out of Aries, and we get in more feminine energies with the Cancer coming in and the Taurus with Venus and Taurus. So then we end the week with the moon in Sagittarius, and the moon in Sagittarius is always a good place because we accept the adventure, right? So Monday with all of those aspects could be quite adventurous. The moon in Sagittarius will hopefully support that for us. So I hope that this was helpful for you. I love coming in and doing these astrology reports here on the community radio station on KPOV. And this has been your galactic ambassador, Stacey Dredd. Peace. Thank you for listening to the Cosmic Community Podcast. More can be found at kpov.org/thecosmiccommunity.